welcome to At Ease with Cooking. I'm Bonnie Kerschke, your host. With the holidays quickly approaching, are you looking for something fun to do with your family? Well then, why not decide to make a gingerbread house or two? They not only make adorable decorations for your home during the holidays, but they're a great way for you to have something to do with your children or grandchildren. And to help you get started this evening, I'm going to be talking about making gingerbread houses. I'll discuss the different kinds available, the items you'll need or want to have on hand to make the project easier for you, and I'll be showing you some gingerbread houses as well. And lastly, we'll have some children here to show you just how much fun it can be for everyone in the family to make that memorable gingerbread house. And I'm going to begin by showing you some gingerbread houses that I have made. These are two gingerbread houses that I've made. This is one that I just made this year, and it's done in all pastel colors, so it really looks like an authentic gingerbread house. It's got the gingerbread mother and father and two little children, the sidewalk that leads up to the house. It's got wonderful little, those smoothie melties, I think they're called, all around. And on the roof, I've used those Necco wafers that you maybe remember as a child. They're not easy to come by anymore, but you can find them at some of the stores. Now I'm going to turn it around now just so you can see the side of the gingerbread house and then the back. And what I've done here is I've got some pine trees, and I've got a little set of logs for this great fireplace that the gingerbread house has, and I've got a little bitty sled. Here we've also got some of that rock candy that was so popular a number of years ago. This one truly is a fancy gingerbread house. Now this one is a smaller version of a gingerbread house, and believe it or not, this one I made about 2 years ago, and I've put it away every year, put it in a plastic bag, tied it up, put it on a shelf, and I take it out, and once in a while a little piece or two has come off, and I've just used some of the royal icing, and I've put it back, glued them back on. Now they're both totally editable. And this one I would say, yes, you could certainly eat this one. This one I would not recommend eating this year because, as I mentioned, this is 2 years old. But if you don't want to make a gingerbread house every year, you can save it. If you don't have little ones around, you're probably going to have an easier time of saving it. But if you have the little ones around, they're going to want to eat all that those fun things. Now I'm going to move these over out of the way so I can talk a little bit more about some of the things that you'll need if you're going to make your own gingerbread houses. Now, as I mentioned, both of these gingerbread houses were made, and they were made from scratch. But nowadays, you don't have to make your gingerbread house from scratch. You can buy kits. And here is a kit. It's not a house, but what it actually is it's a little train. And inside you can see it's wrapped very securely with that bubble pack paper. This one has bags of icing. It's got bags of candy. And if you can see down below, it's got all of the gingerbread pieces that you'll need to make the gingerbread train. And they're all very well packed. They haven't broken at all. So it's a really great time saver to have one of these little kits. Here are some little boxes that you form your gingerbread train around. And here are some instructions for doing it. And this one, really kind of neat, because the box, after you're through using it, turns out to be the station for the gingerbread train. Now this one is a kit that's a kit for making a gingerbread house, and it's got very much the same items in here. It's got your instructions, it's got your icing, it's got the candy. This one even has a decorating bag and some tips, and then it's got your packet of gingerbread that you're going to assemble. So they're making it easier and easier every year to make a gingerbread house. You don't want to make a big one. They've got these adorable little ornament kits. Here again, you've got your ornaments, you've got some icing, you've got your decorator tip in there. Just wonderful. But now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the kits if you want to start from scratch. This is the kit that made this gingerbread house. And it comes with 3 cutters and a set of instructions. And in the beginning, I believe it had a disposable bag as well to use to pipe your icing on. This one is a kit. This one does not have cutters in it. What it has is a group of stencils that you cut around to make the various kinds of houses that appear on the back, and they give you all kinds of suggestions for houses to make and the ways to decorate them. This one is really an adorable one. If you have a group of children that you want to make gingerbread houses with, set of instructions. It's got all these really cute little cookie cutters, because this one makes about 10 different kinds of houses, and they're all really tiny ones, so they wouldn't take very long to make. Here you do have to make the dough and cut it out yourself. And the last one I have here is, this is the kit that I used to make this gingerbread house with. And this has got all very large cutters for your gingerbread and a set of instructions. So it's really a great kit too. And I've elaborated more on my gingerbread house than they did on the one here. You can make them as elaborate as you like or as simple as you like. With the kits, if you don't feel there's enough candy, you can add additional candy to it. There is even a way that you can make gingerbread houses out of graham crackers. I happen to have a little pamphlet on it. It's a really cute idea. I'm not sure if those are still available. Here's a magazine that has a gingerbread house on the cover. And during the holidays, you'll find many, many magazines that have instructions for making gingerbread houses. I think it's Ladies' Home Journal every year has a gingerbread house on the cover of their magazine with instructions how to make them. Now, if you're going to be making the gingerbread yourself, you'll have your recipe, and your dough will look like this when you get finished. And a great tip that they have for using this, and I'm not going to go to the trouble to cut them out, I'd rather use our time differently today, is to use the back of a cookie cutter, a jelly roll pan or a cookie sheet. And then you sprinkle your flour on, you pat your dough out, you roll it out till it's 1/4 of an inch thick. You use your cutters, you cut them out, or you use your stencil and you cut around it, and then you just take off the excess, reuse it, and pop it in the oven. It couldn't be more simple. You don't have to transfer it, you just cook it right on the back of the sheet. By doing it on the back, it's much easier to roll because you just don't have these sides. Now, after you've baked your gingerbread, what you want to do is you want to put it on a rack and you want to let it cool completely. And it's best if you can let it cool and stay air drying for at least a day. And after you do that, this is what your gingerbread is going to look like. It gets hard. This is from this particular gingerbread kit that I have, and it requires 6 pieces to put together. This is this one that we're going to be using with our children today, and they're going to be making it off of these bases. We've already got them started for them. Now you'll notice here is a base, and you're going to need a base to put underneath your gingerbread house. Some of the kits actually come with a base, but if you use the cutters over and over again, you're not going to have that base anymore. You can get these at craft stores and at, well, the store is called either Made of Scandinavia or Sweet Celebrations. I think it's Sweet Celebrations, a division of Made of Scandinavia, and they have all different sizes of these. If you can't get to one of those stores or you can't find them, you can always use a regular piece of cardboard, but it's got to be stiff. Or if you have a pizza box that doesn't, you know, hasn't gotten pizza stains all over it, you can use that as well. Because what I like to do when I'm making the gingerbread house is I like to totally cover the bottom and the top with aluminum foil. And the reason for doing that is then you don't have any moisture seeping through onto the cardboard and possibly getting on your furniture. However, it doesn't mean that you can, you don't have to be careful about where you put these. You really don't want to mar your furniture in any way, but it gives it a little stability to work on. One suggestion for this, when you put your aluminum foil down, put some icing on the cardboard first, then put your aluminum foil and stick it down like this, and then it will have a nice bond. Now, as you can see here, this one has been put together already, and it's been put together with what we call royal icing. Now, I'm going to show you a few things here. To make royal icing, it's best if you can get something called meringue powder. And here the craft stores and the Sweet Celebrations carry this meringue powder. It's so easy to use. You mix 3 tablespoons of this with 1 pound of powdered sugar and 5 to 6 tablespoons of lukewarm water. You mix it up in your mixer, and you really should have a pretty sturdy mixer to do this because you have to mix it for 10 to 12 minutes. It will get nice and stiff, and as you can see, I tap on it and it has gotten really nice and stiff. The one thing you do have to be concerned about when you use the royal icing is that it dries very quickly. So when you are using it in your mixer, you want to be sure to cover it either with a damp paper towel, or what I like to do is place plastic wrap right on top of the icing. And you want to keep your tips, which you'll be using to do some of the decorating on your gingerbread house. You want to keep them covered as well, because what will happen is it will start to harden here, and when you go to use it again, it's going to be hard. It doesn't mean you can't use it, but it means that you're going to have to maybe take the tip off and wash it. Now, these are the bags that I like to use. They're a plastic disposable bag, and all you have to do is open it up. This one's a little bit hard to get open now. And you will put your tip down in the bottom. First, you're going to want to cut a piece off, and I'm going to show you just how to do that. I like to use what's called a coupler. And the coupler allows you to use, say you're going to make this whole gingerbread house with just the white royal icing. If you use the coupler, which looks like this, it's 2 pieces. You put 1 piece down in there, and I haven't quite cut enough off, but it's better to cut too little than too much, because once you do that, then you've really virtually ruined your bag. You put your tip here, which in this instance is a number 18 open star tip, and you put your icing in here.